Okay, so our guest is here, right? And he'll be here with us in a couple of minutes. Colombia, one of the things I want to mention about Colombia while we get this situated is that Colombia has been largely ignored in the mainstream media, really the reasons behind everything that's happening, right? It's one thing to just put videos out there of people getting killed and say, oh, that's just a third world country, this happens, drug trafficking and all of that. It's another thing to talk about the DEA and their play in Latin America, and it's another thing to talk about the government of Ivan Duque was backed by the United States, by the way, and the CIA, and all of their fingers and their dirty hands in everything we've done. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I said it before. The global South, the country that we arm the most and have the most weapons deal, Colombia, always in the global South. You know, we also have our hands in situations in El Salvador and these other countries. Obviously, Peru, there was some deals. The DEA was all up in there too as well. But Colombia gets the most weapons. So when you see people running around those streets, you know, getting shot, they're running around the military, that is, with American weapons, American gear. And they're killing people left and right. So,
okay. Okay. Can you hear us? Julian, can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes. I can hear you. Okay.
Sorry, I was having some technical problems.
Oh, okay. If you have a camera, that's great. If you don't, that's okay. We can still do it. But yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
There you are. Okay.
How you doing, Julian? Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to talk about my country.
Yeah, we really want to hear from Colombians because, you know, a lot of the times here you hear from some other Western journalists that thinks they know about Colombia, and then a lot of things get lost in translation. I'm Peruvian. I went in Peru. I know what that's like. So I want to hear from you, a Colombian, what exactly is happening. So first of all, welcome and thank you for being an activist and thank you for reaching out and having these conversations with me. Give us an update right now on the state of Colombia in the murders and if anything at all has been done to stop it.
Hi. Well, right now we are sitting on approximately 17 murders by the state, confirmed murders. We are investigating another 20 more or 30 more. I don't remember the exact number, but one is more than enough. The repression by the state only has been increasing since the start of the strike. In fact, actually, right now the police is implementing a new tactic. They aren't directly destroying the strike or the protest. They are taking away people before the hour of the protest, of the strike, etc., etc. So they are inevitably basically incarcerating a lot of people for doing nothing. Just people pass by, they are walking to their schools, to their university, and they are taken away by the police if they imagine that you are actually going to the strike.
So we were told initially that the strike was called by trade unions, right, to stop a neoliberal tax hike that was going to hurt the working people. I guess they pulled back that tax hike, but yet the strike still continues. Why is that, Julian?
Well, the strike was initially called out by the National Strike Committee. The National Strike Committee is made up of the two largest trade union confederations of country, CUT, which is a liberal union, and CGT, which is a conservative union. The strike committee is made up by the two largest trade union confederation and two representatives from the student movement, but one of them renounced his position, so only we have one. And she's a liberal. She's called Jennifer Pedraza. So the committee isn't really very representative. The strike was initially calling out by them to stop the tax hike, but not a lot of people actually came to the streets. the initial protests were relatively low compared to the size of the protests right now, relatively small. Sorry. But the state started repressing a lot the protests. They are starting using actually bullets, metal bullets. They started killing people, sometimes even 10 people per protest, something like that. So the strike, while it already achieved its initial goals, that was defeating the tax reform, it has still continued because there is state repression. Right now, we are focusing on stopping the state repression because we are in kind of losing of our democracy, something like that.
Yeah. And you said that before when we've spoken that the strike is decentralized, which is a good
Yes.
thing, right? So it's less co-optable. But having direction is always a good thing. Are there plans for specific demands, or are you just going to continue for now to focus on stopping the killings first before anything else happens?
Well, the strike, as you said, is very, very decentralized. Right now, the strike is mostly continued by local assemblies, open, popular local assemblies. Anyone can join. Is like some kind of mechanism for direct democracy. I think that makes the strike more legitimate. But because of the rapid growth of the strike and all of the anger that is in people, we don't have a clear set of demands yet. We are working on it. Actually, we are going to have our second and national popular assembly in Cali this month, and we hope that with that assembly we can maybe make some critical demands instead of just saying to the government, "Hey, stop killing us."
Yeah. But so now you have both trade unions. You said negotiating with the state, right? To end the strike and stuff like that. But a lot of those trade unions don't really represent a lot of the people in the streets, a lot of the workers and stuff. So what are you guys going to actually do to push through this? I mean, if they're not going to be negotiating on your behalf, what good is these trade unions out there negotiating when they're not representing the will of the people?
In Colombia, only 4% of workers are unionized because
Okay.
60% of workers are informal workers, and you can have a union if you are an informal worker. So the trade unions really don't represent the working class. They don't represent the student activists. They don't represent the famous ninis here in Colombia, people that don't work or don't study. Basically, eternal unemployed people that live day by day. They don't represent all of the people. They don't represent the indigenous peasant, etc. So right now we are working on in the next National Popular Assembly, actually making a negotiating team to start negotiating with the government directly instead of instead of having to use the strike committee. So that's what we're working on. If that answers your question.
Yeah. So wanted to touch on this because your friend mentioned this in one of his tweets that Jacobin wrote an article uplifting a woman called Jennifer Pedraza who sold out the strike, right? Tell us more about her and why it's so important. American media does not whitewash or westernize what exactly is happening.
Yes. Well, I don't feel very good about having to talk shit about another strike leader in Colombia.
Yeah.
Because of all the leftists infighting all over the world. But I think that it's important to say that Jennifer Pedraza really don't represent the interests of the student activists. She's part of an organization called ACLES, which is like a student representative organization. Only people elected to the college government, university governments can actually be a part of. So they supposedly called on a national student strike in 2018, but really the strike was called on by popular assemblies, like right now. Like in this strike, in the 2018 strike, we also had initially a negotiating table in which our representatives were disconnected disconnected union elites, because Actors is very linked to the trade unions. So yeah, we have a difference in 2018 strike. She was calling on to end the strike weeks before we signed of accords. She is always tweeting stuff very liberal, very centrist. For example, she said that the people in the points of resistance are looters and vandals, etc. She's representing the more radical part of the strike, so to say. So yeah. She's a sellout.
Yeah. It's very confusing to see who's what right now in this whole situation.
It seems she's more like an incrementalist. Let's work with the status quo. And some other people are like, no, we need to stop this. This is bigger than just
And actually, the movement is much more radical than her, because the demands, like in the 2018 strike, she got us like an equivalent of 3% of the demands. The main demand was money. We were asking for more money to the budget of universities, because of local public universities are struggling. They are literally falling apart. So we were asking for 18 billions pesos, not dollars, pesos. And she got us 5, like 3 times less. She's really keen on working with the Congress and with the state, etc. She was invited actually to give a speech to congressmen in the 2018 strike. She's very good with the media, etc. She doesn't represent us.
Yeah. Well, what about other groups like the FARC? Because I know they retreated into the jungle over about a year ago when they broke ties with any negotiations with the government. I see a lot of military grade weapons and soldiers running around shooting people. I kind of imagine that the FARC might come out and help some of the workers, whatnot, and defend themselves. What role do they play, or what's the future of the FARC? Are the workers willing to work with them?
Well, actually, FARC signed off peace accords in 2016. The main most of the FARC guerrillas obeyed the accord. They founded a political party called FARC. Exactly the same acronym, but it means another thing in Spanish. Right now they are called, I don't remember the name, but yeah, they are a political party right now. A lot of dissatisfied militants of FARC that wanted to continue the work are still in the jungle. They aren't very political. They just want to continue this endless war. The main political faction of FARC, like the main ideologues and etc., obey the accords. So no, they aren't really like a popular army or something like that. No. In fact, they had some deals with narco traffickers right now.
Wow.
And it's complicated. The whole Colombian civil war mess is very complicated.
Yeah.
There are people that are in the jungle that do really believe in revolution and all of that, but there are also people that are in the jungle that just wanna make money with the cocaine deal. So yes, it's complicated.
Yeah. So just going off of that, what do Americans need to mostly understand between the relationship of the U.S. government and Colombia and the Colombian government, right? Because we know that the U.S. government did actually back Iván Duque at a certain point. We know that the DEA has done a lot of damage in Latin America, specifically South America, Colombia, etc. What do Americans need to understand about this relationship?
well, Colombia is basically like a second Israel. I think that
Wow.
one poll suggested that we were the main ally of the US here in Latin America, for example. If I remember correctly, it was like a poll done 5 years ago, something like that. We have 9 US military bases in our country.
9?
One of 9.
Jeez.
Actually, one of them is 15 minutes from my home.
Oui.
It's really bizarre. And what they did with those military bases was committing a lot of crimes. Actually, the US soldiers were involved in assets trafficking scheme in Cartagena, for example, some years back. The US government sends a lot of money to Colombia with a foreign aid program called Plan Colombia. It is supposedly like a drug war type of aid. It's supposedly to combat drug cartels that are in our country, because we have presence of Mexican drug cartels in our country. Supposedly to do that, but our government mostly spends it on counterinsurgency.
Yep.
They mostly spend that money wiretapping people and destroying indigenous lands, because the indigenous people, indigenous peasants, grow coca. Hoja de coca is not the same thing as cocaine. It's the same plant, but it's used literally. We traditionally eat coca like coffee.
Yeah.
We one leaf of coca in the morning, your morning coffee basically.
Yeah.
It's like not as good, but the government spends most of the money of Plan Colombia destroying their land. So they are not really fighting the cartels. They are using it to destroy the popular organizations, all of that.
So all the money that is sent via humanitarian aid by the United States does not get dispensed and used appropriately for the people. They just, misappropriate it, do whatever they want with it. And the DEA is, of course, always involved in the drug cartel. Like, they have been named by many people, including one of the Peruvian members of Peru Libre, as the biggest drug cartel in the world.
Yeah.
The DEA. I mean, they really are. And it's just very clear what they're doing over there in Colombia.
Julian, is there a populist candidate coming up in Colombia that can really kind of settle things and bring it together? It seems like there's all these facets going on. We're witnessing what's going on right now in El Salvador with Bukele. Is there somebody coming up, young, vibrant, who can maybe bring things together in Colombia?
In Colombia, the main leftist candidate is called Gustavo Petro. He is in Chavez. He ain't like a Pedro Castillo or a Rafael Correa. No, he's a social democrat.
Yeah.
In fact, he is very friendly with the US. WikiLeaks actually revealed that in one of his leaks that Gustavo Petro actually sold out so some people from FARC back in 2006 when they were still in the jungle. He collaborated with the US government to incarcerate some more radical leftists, so to say it.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah.
He's a social democrat.
Yeah.
He's the better candidate that we have. Our far right government and their party call it the Democratic Center because they are fascists masking at centrist. Likes to say it's a lot that Gustavo Petro is a communist, but no, I wish.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of Latin America is afraid of anything remotely leftist. I got a.
He's like a Biden, actually. He likes Biden a lot. Yes, he likes Biden a lot.
Oh,
he's like a Biden.
Yeah. So what do Americans here need to do to help you guys who are leading the strike, who are going to continue striking out on the ground, and to bring attention to just the murder, right? Because we do want to bring attention to it, but we don't want the United States to come in and do their thing, like that always happens. So what do you need from us to do to just shine light on this?
Okay, well, the main thing that you can do is spread awareness, talking with more Colombian leftists and Colombian strike leaders, sharing all the photos and videos and all of the information about Colombia in Twitter and their social media, talking about it in your schools, in your universities, in your workplace, etc. So more people know, because solidarity can reach very long, is very far. Solidarity is the earnestness of the people, basically. And we need a lot of solidarity. The other thing that we need a lot is mutual aid. We are making some mutual aid funds for national and international people. So if you have a buck to spare, you can donate it to our cause. Your dollars go very, very far here in Colombia. Or currency is really weak, so even like $10 help a lot. We have three important mutual aid funds. The national one, which is for receiving a lot of money to fund direct action. Like for example, they are buying up some protective gear and they are making shields and all of that because the government is shooting at us, so we need protection. And there is another mutual aid fund for Temblores. Temblores ONG is a non-governmental organization that is doing some really good independent journalism here in Colombia. They are the ones pointing on the deaths on the street. They are putting the left and reads to make them most unbiased reporting of the facts on the ground. So you can also donate to them. And in my hometown, we created another fund because we are receiving a lot of money from the national fund, and we need more funding because the state is really repressing us. For example, they raided our safe house last week, so we lost all of our equipment. We could really use some solidarity and material help.
Well, thank you for coming on, and yeah, everybody, just if you write, do you have any on your page that we could point to on your Twitter page? Any of these websites so people know where to donate? Because I know that, like you said, the dollar is worth a lot over there. So
yeah, I can make a tweet and I will pin it. Yes.
Awesome. So that is Julian's Twitter. If you guys want to go follow him. And he's in Colombia right now, and please
do you have my Twitter handle?
Yeah,
we've had it up the whole time.
It's up.
Yes.
It's up right now.
We gotcha.
So guys, follow him and also donate, please. Like I said, the money in from the United States goes a long way in Colombia. Thank you for coming on and sharing. Please keep me posted if you have anything new to say. I will gladly bring you back on because the situation in Colombia I know is dire. So thank you so much. Anything else from you, Pasta?
That's it. Thank you, Julian.
Thank you, Julian.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate a lot the opportunity, and sorry for my broken English. I'm still learning.
No worries. Stay safe out there, my friend.
Please.
Please.